Hi, my name is Dr. Craig, but you can call me the Mad Bioengineer. And today I'm back with an update from the National Academy of Science Cancer Engineering Workshop. I just want to say that I'm so fortunate to have been able to go to this event and to talk with other experts about the fields of cancer research and to share now what I learned and bring it back to you. For some context, I was one of about 20 students and early career scientists that were invited to this conference, along with giants and other experts in the cancer research field, to talk about the intersection and convergence of engineering with science, healthcare, and medicine. This first talk that I want to highlight is on the importance of science communication. Professor Robert Winn at Virginia Commonwealth University gave this talk about the importance of communicating what we're doing as scientists and cancer researchers to the general public to help them understand what we're doing, the accomplishments that we're making, and some of the goals that we've accomplished in the past, 30 or so years.
The next speaker is Dr. Robert Winn.
By the way, if you don't know who this is Dr. Roderick Petrogru. He is the founding director of the National Institute of Bioimaging and Bioengineering, and he's also a giant in the field of cardiovascular magnetic resonance imaging. If you want to learn more about him, I highly encourage you to search him up and read about some of his accomplishments because that would honestly take its own video. But on to today's subject.
I think better known as Rob Winn from Virginia Commonwealth University. His presentation is on perspectives from the National Cancer Policy Forum, which he has chaired, and we're so delighted to have him. Rob has 10 minutes, and he'll be followed by 3 additional speakers, each of whom have 10 minutes, and then we'll proceed to the discussion part of this session. Rob.
You're going to have a break this morning. I decided to go without slides. I know, how crazy is that? So I want to start off by, first of all, thanking Hetty and Rohit for really coming up with what I think is the most wonderful ideal, which is to bring this concept of convergence of engineering and health and cancer all together. As a proud chair of the National Cancer Policy Forum, I am proud to say that we're celebrating the 20th anniversary this year. It was formed in 2005, really with the sort of purpose of thinking about the impact of policies and whether it enhances or whether it hinders. I want to change the conversation for just a quick second because I want to get to what I think the next version of convergence looks like. We've had discussions about always problem solving because that's what we do. We're good at it. I mean, that's what we're trained to do. But what happens is sometimes our communication, particularly to the general public, sometimes is absent. Sometimes we have a hard time believing that the general public just doesn't understand how wonderful we've done and how much we've impacted their lives. I've recognized in part it's because we've not told our story. This team that's assembled here, our national team that has come together to converge to fight cancer, has actually done the following since 1991. 34% fewer people are dying from cancer in 2024 than they were in 1991. That means 34% more people in America are actually showing up to baseball games and family cookouts. As we talk about what science has done, and I truly believe better science, better outcomes for more people. But I think we miss the point of telling everybody, and that means everyone, that every race and every ethnicity, some more than others, admittedly, but have all benefited to some extent to the science in that national team of our national cancer institutes, of our cancer centers, of our academic institutes, that got together as a team that says, we're not just working to put more knowledge forward. The knowledge that we have are actually benefiting you. That story, when you tell your legislators about the power of the dream since 1971 of getting and harnessing all of our powers and getting the best and brightest like Dr. Sharp and many others in this room, that their tax dollars have actually worked. I don't think you can point to too many other places or too many other places around the globe and says, we have created in 30 years, 34% fewer people dying from cancers. Now, I would say that maybe it is because people, it's possible, are eating more kale and drinking more carrot juice. But I'd submit to you it is because of the convergence, this national team, of the engineering prowess that we've had with the imaging, of the looking not only in the context of the biological issues, but understanding that there's infrastructure that goes along with screening. There's social engineering things that actually also have to happen to get communities actually access. This convergence, if you will, of all these pieces, prevention, screening, of having miracle molecules become miracle medicines, and actually how do we set up trials so that we get more access, has been part of the success in the last 30 years of having 34% fewer Americans dying from cancer. What's the hope? The hope that is with this national team that the discussion also can extend to understanding not only the DNA and our biology, but the importance of the ZNA. I know, made up word, zip code neighborhood of associations, and understanding the power now of the tools that we're having through engineering, through AI, through machine learning, of the missing omic frequently in our conversation. And I know people are saying, what's the missing omic? Proteomic, lipidomic, you're going through all genomic, wait a minute. It's the omics of the community omics. Getting better data, more precise data, not just about the genes, but about the environment and the things impacting the genes. It's actually going to be important in the 21st century, and we have better tools to do it. What I'm hoping, and Rohit knows this, when we actually were talking about it, so this, right, when we were talking about engineering and medical schools, I think it is the perfect opportunity of having young minds of saying, how do we take the tools and how do we apply them for impact? Now, policies are important. The interesting thing about the discussion is that once you come up with a tool, it turns out that that seems to be not enough. I used to give my graduate students a book that says a PhD is not enough, it's just the beginning. As we come up with tools and technologies, that's the start. But what then happens to the policies that we know can sometimes hinder or enhance its ability of effectiveness? This is where the National Cancer Policy Forum comes in. I have been proud over the last couple of years to actually get people from corporations, from academic centers, from the government, and actually from our communities to talk about, once we get the miracle technology or the miracle discovery of the molecule, what next? It's in this context that I want to challenge us, just a little, out of our comfort zone. Where is the intersectionality of not only these tools, not only in the context of the genome, but in the context of the genome, made up word again? How do we understand the intersectionality that the genes are responding to things and becoming better about what data to get so that it's not just all white noise? How do we actually get even personal so that we're not only thinking about just the person, because we say person, patient-based, but that patient actually comes from important places called communities that we could collect even more data and even think about our engineering interventions in a way to actually get from 34% to 50%. Now, I was challenged once recently to talk about this big, bold concept of the real convergence of social, what I call social molecular sort of, which is what my science focus is, social molecular. But when the social engineering and the convergence of the physical and the traditional engineering come together, what can we do in the context of reaching communities that we typically do not? So that the science, when we say better science equals better outcomes for all people, we mean it. That's the problem, but that is a wonderful problem to have, because I believe in us. Now, in that 34 years, people want to make it seem as if this is the darkest times. Well, we've had ups and downs and twists and turns all over. But what I love about science and scientists is what we've been always focused on the North Star of coming up with new knowledge that makes things better. Today's no different. Now, I know this is unusual talk because you wanted a PowerPoint and I had some data. And then I decided that I'm with so many people with data that I'd give you a break. Just for one moment to pause and just think about reimagining not just a section of convergence, but reimagining how we actually integrate some of the social sciences also into our convergence of engineering, the physical sciences, the computational sciences, and everything else. This is unusual for me. I've been told that I usually run over, but Francis and, Cheryl just told me that's not going to happen today. So I'll end by sort of saying, I want a call to action. I understand what the situation is, and we're going to talk about policies and things throughout the day, maybe, and once we leave here. But here's what I want to know. I actually think we have an opportunity beyond belief that actually will re-engage, reconnect with our communities. When they understand that 34% more people are showing up to their cookouts, and I explain it that way, you should see the light in their eyes that says, oh, I got that. So in addition to expanding our convergence and bringing in more into that tent, I'd also argue that we also have to be better communicators in figuring out the science of communication so that we bring everyone along. I'm a proud member of this national team that fights cancer. I know you are too, and I'm excited about hearing the other voices today for this conference. And again, Henny Rohit, thank you for just getting this started and getting together. It wasn't such a crazy idea when you brought it. I was like, no, it's a great idea. And I'm just so glad to be a part of it. So thank you so much, and we're going to have a wonderful day and a wonderful conference. Appreciate you guys.
So that was a phenomenal talk by Professor Robert Winn, and it encapsulates a lot of the things that I think about and a lot of the things that I do on social media and in my personal and everyday life as a science communicator. But he really highlighted the points of the importance of involving the community so that they understand and they also gain the benefits of what we're doing as scientists. He highlighted several key points, such as the importance of making sure that what we're doing as scientists impacts everyone equally, because that is a current trend and it's a long-standing trend, is that things are developed and that they don't impact everyone equally. They might train the data on one population, but it largely benefits another population. That's an issue. So if you're a scientist or science communicator, keep these things in mind in your science communication. When you're doing these types of activities, keep these ideas in mind. So my question and my kind of open challenge to the community is, what are we doing about that? Why are we not formalizing science communication education and efforts within academia? And now I want to get to the questions that I ask, because I think they're also really important. Because as scientists and science communicators, one thing that I've noticed, at least especially in my matriculation through undergraduate and grad school, is that I was never formally taught how to communicate science to non-science audiences.
Bruce, okay, on the right.
Dr. Craig Richard. I'm a postdoctoral researcher at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, and I'm a bioengineer turned science communicator. And my question is for Dr. Winn. You mentioned the inability or the lack of science ability to communicate their science to the broader public. And I wanted to ask about how is curriculum changing so that scientists are getting involved in science communication, speaking to their community earlier, and turning that into a pipeline.
Thank you for making my argument. I actually think that is needed, and I'll keep it just brief. That's needed, and I think we need to do a better job. And I think that in recent times, the disconnect between the science and the communities is becoming ever more important, the low trust, no trust. So what you said is exactly what I'm trying to propose to many around the country, that there is a science of communication where scientists should be better at communicating our findings. So thank you for that.
And I wanted to re-emphasize comments earlier about capturing the community omics and understanding how communities are impacted by the technologies and the science that we're doing, but also to understand how they understand and those technologies. I'm working on a project right now to understand how people in the cancer research ecosystem, or whether they be patients, doctors, or researchers, experience these systems, to understand health disparities in these systems. So my question was, how are institutions formalizing education for scientists and people in these spaces to better communicate what is happening in the lab and in the clinic? What tools are your institutions developing to make these things formal and not informal experiences, like a lot of you have already mentioned, like you've kind of tailored your careers to do these things, but what are institutions doing to make these a requirement for scientists to do?
Maybe I can take that one, Craig, since no one else would touch it. No, just kidding. I think, look, the fact of the matter is science communication was not emphasized in training traditionally, right? In fact, there was some credit given to those who speak less, perhaps, and do more, right? What perhaps the last 6 months in society have taught us is that it's better to communicate value when things are actually valuable. There's certainly a lot of communication, a lot of information going on, but information and facts are different things. And science is about facts and communicating factually what has been the benefit. So certainly not just communicating more, but communicating in a way that helps science and helps advance the culture of science, I think is really critical. So I hope what we will see coming forward in the next few years is an emphasis, again, on science communication from a scientific perspective, given what is happening in society right now.
I'd also, you want to?
We're getting close to the end of time, so I want to bring in one more question, if possible.
Maybe I'm not going to say anything other than advertise for the AAAS Science Fellows program, which is an incredible, we've gotten so many talented scientists, communicators in government, and hopefully that will continue. And there's just enormous impact of that program. So we can talk more about it if you like.
Sure, thank you.
I will quickly add, using social media outreach has been particularly helpful for me. So that may be another aspect to include.
Okay.
So from those questions and answers, you can kind of see where we're at as a science community and where we need to be and where we're going. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but it would really help if you were to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions or comments about this, please leave them in the comments below. I would love to talk more about this because this was an amazing experience, and this is just one talk that I really wanted to highlight.